I hate guided notes. I don't use Cornell notes, and I don't encourage the teens I tutor to use either. Mama, does your teen have 4 bullet types in his notes? If the answer is no, like it is with most of my teens, you're going to want to stick around to find out, how does this whole outline method really help my teen take the best notes that are going to be the most useful, they're going to help him do his homework to be the absolute best, most effective, most useful study tool. All right, before we get to the outline, let's talk about Cornell notes. My absolute least favorite, only two guided notes. So Cornell notes, they have those lines, right? There's that kind of upside down T, if you will, has those 3 sections, the note section, the questions or cues section, and then the summary. I don't like it. I just don't. Simple reason why is it feels really, really restrictive. Like there has to be that structure, there has to be those sections, which may or may not work for your team. Kind of seems like a waste of paper to me too. The fact that, okay, this is the little box you get for your notes, and oh yeah, don't forget to do this and this. I gotta tell you, I like the idea of writing a summary. I like the idea of your team coming up with questions that might become test questions the teacher asks, or maybe, okay, did I really understand this information? Do I have a question about what I learned? But yet my question to you mamas is, does it have to go there? Is that the only place for your teen to use that valuable study resource, the summary and the questions? And me, the answer is no. I would rather those go somewhere else, be used for something else. So Cornell notes, not for me, not something I suggest the teens I tutor in my Love Learn program to use. All right, next type of notes to talk about, guided notes, or maybe you call them a closed guide, or maybe you call them fill in the blank notes. Whatever you want to call them, whatever your teen's teacher might be calling them, do you know, mamas, I don't like them. Like they are my absolute least favorite type of notes for a lot of reasons. And we've got the Cornell notes we just talked about, right? So there's the 3 sections, but at least your teen gets to write notes in his own words in that one note section. Guided notes, your teen is literally listening, looking for a word or a set of words to go in that little blank on the piece of paper the teacher has provided. Starting point, right? Lots of teachers do that because they know teens don't know how to take notes. And they're like, okay, at least this way they'll be doing something while I'm teaching. They'll hopefully, have some kind of resource to refer back to. But mama's guided notes, they just don't help. All right. I gotta tell you, so many teens I tutor, they fill it out because sometimes it's worth the grade. And I'm glad when teachers are like, okay, it's so important. I'm going to put a point value on this note. But yet, so many teens don't use those guided notes because they're not personalized, because they don't make sense, because also, even more importantly, they don't contain enough information. They don't contain the information your teen needs to actually find a use for those notes. So, what I tell teens on guided notes is use them as a starting point. If you have to turn them in for a grade, do that. But also know if it's not worth a grade, then I would rather them have them use that closed guide, that fill in the blank note as basically a reference. Take notes on a separate piece of paper with these bullets we're about to talk about, and then go, okay, you know, this information goes with this part of the guide notes. Oh yeah, I should probably write something else about this because the teacher had to us do this type of problem. Or the teacher indicated, oh yeah, this is something I want you to know. Because that's a whole nother thing, on guided notes. If your teen is listening for certain information, it might not be a vocab word. It might not be the formula. It might literally be the word not. It might be the word always. And those kind of definitive words, yeah, they're important. They're something I teach when I teach 7 note-taking rules to my Love to Learn teens. But yet, if that's what your teen remembers writing down, I wrote down the word not, and I circled always. What did your teen get out of that? So I do not like guided notes. So rant is over, and I want to know how you feel. Mamas, do you like guided notes? Do you like Cornell notes? Let me know down below before we jump into the third and final type of notes, the outline notes, the ones that I want your teens to use, the way I teach teens how to take notes, even though that's not really what I was calling them before I did research for this video. If we haven't met yet, I'm Jessyka Coulter, CEO and founder of Ace Cookie Tutoring. I am a study skills tutor. So I teach teens 12 essential study skills using the learning method. And the reason we're talking about note taking today is because it is the absolute most important study skill. It is the one all of the other study skills I teach build on. All right, like that's right. Every single study skill for things like time management, things like motivation, things like confidence, all of those have to start with note taking. That's why it's so, so important for you and especially your teen to know, okay, how do I take notes? What does that look like for me? And is it the Cornell method, the outline method, the guide notes? Like, what should my notes really look like? So, more information on that in just a second. Alrighty, ready to talk about those outline notes. If you are, if you're excited, let me know down below by clicking or tapping that like button. And do you know, mamas, the outline method? Okay, this is where those bullets came in. I asked you at the very beginning, does your teen have 4 bullets? And right here, right now, I want you to know my system. Okay, these 4 bullets are going to be used for your teen hand writes his notes, and we can talk all about that if you want, something I talk about in my program. But do know the system that I use and that teens are welcome to use is double star, single star, a hyphen or a dash, and then the dot bullet. Those are my 4 bullets, and I like those a lot. I've been using them since middle school and still today as an adult because of the fact that they're really quick and easy to draw, and they're really, really easy to differentiate. There's no, is that, a this or is that a that? Like if I used a star and a triangle, that could be very problematic since my stars aren't always very pretty. But yet it's really easy to tell that's a 1 star or 2 stars, or that's a star-like thing. So that's part of choosing bullets is not only, okay, why do we need 4? What do they actually look like? And then how do I use them? So that's the next step of this. So your teens, when you're doing these outlines, if you're going to use this system, and even if you go the Cornell method route, which I don't want you to, I don't want your teen to do, you could still use this system in that section that's literally for notes, but 4 bullets. So we're not going to indent, right? Like if we're typing notes, it can just indent and it's really clean, really obvious. Or handwriting notes, not as obvious, not as, easy to keep organized and clear. But the first bullets, those double stars in my system, those are for the main idea, like the heading. And everything that comes next, that's a smaller fact. As in, it's not as important, so it's not as big of an idea, but yet the detail is probably greater because, okay, this is a detail that we care about only because of the other thing above. So, 4 bullets, 4 different purposes. Your teen has to use these bullets every class, every day, and ideally, use these for more than, say, just this semester or just this school year. We get the bullets chosen. We know what order your teen's going to use them in. We now know, okay, this is for every class. Well, the next step to note taking that we're going to talk about here is the fact that your teen has to use his learning style, right? Is your child visual, auditory, or kinesthetic? Or maybe you say tactile or hands-on, it means the same thing. I do know and the outline method, like that's actually possible. Like your teen can use different colors of pen for visual learners. Maybe your child is very hands-on, needs to have different actions, do things while actually taking those notes. Okay, my auditory learners, they listen a lot. They're not going to have as much written down. They're still going to have the important stuff, but yeah, it's going to be a little bit more bare bones because it's so much more important for them to listen than it is for them to write. Now, with the outline method, like it's much more versatile. There's much more room for personalization. Okay. Cornell notes, guided notes, they're so restrictive. Your teens can't easily use their learning style. And if they can't use their learning style, well, they're going to have even less interest in taking notes than they might already. And they're going to also feel like those notes don't make any sense, like they just don't help. Whereas in the outline method, okay, they chose those bullets. They know exactly what goes with what, how it's related to this. And then they're also going, hey, these notes look like me. These notes are notes I took for me to make sense to me and nobody else. Not because the teacher said I had to take them this way, not because I was told this is the only right way to take notes. Your teen is finding out a way to match that learning style, tie in the interest, and actually write down the right information in the right way using the outline system. So, what do you think? We just scratched the surface today, mamas. There is so much more to note taking, but I'd love to know, will your team use these 4 bullets? And if you have this discussion with your teen after watching this and you want to share what those 4 bullets are, I'd love to know. But do know there is a lot more to note taking. That is why there are other videos here on my YouTube channel all about note taking. And that's why I teach note taking one-on-one in my Love Learn Study Skills program, as well as offer it self-paced and in group form. So if you're looking for more information about note taking, reach out, let me know. Watch these other videos. Check out all of the other amazing videos here on my YouTube channel because note taking, again, only one of 12 study skills I teach. So love that you're here. Glad that you watched. And remember, outline notes always going to be the winner in my books. Stay away from those Cornell notes. Stay away from the guided notes. Talk to you later, Mama. Thanks for watching.